This is a podcast by the Business Times, presented by UOB.
Artificial intelligence technology has been steadily stirring controversy and headlines, especially with the advent of generative AI. Many feel it's to help advisors do better, not replace them. Nevertheless, one can't help but feel threatened, even though AI hasn't quite cracked the field of behavioral finance yet. Can AI really manage your money safely? And can it be trusted to make those big financial decisions with you? Would you even want it to? The future of finance certainly looks exciting and perhaps polarizing at the same time. For more insights, we speak to Abel Lim, Head of Wealth Management Advisory and Strategy at UOB. Welcome to the Business Times Future of Finance podcast. Abel, happy to speak to you today.
Thank you very much.
Let's first off talk about the mass affluent. With this fast-growing segment of consumers, how has demand for wealth management evolved?
With the rise of the digital natives, the preference to adopt or to engage digital platforms and channels to make wealth management decisions, to invest, and even to create portfolio has risen in recent years. It gives these individuals the convenience, the control that they so desire, but it also has two peculiar outputs that we have noticed. The first one is individuals are more motivated to find out more. They are more hungry for data, learn and understand, and at the same time, they try to adopt or use platforms out there to execute their trades or ideas. At the same time, it also intimidates. Certain individuals who are not very familiar digitally can also feel intimidated when they are making that financial decisions because maybe, what if I'm doing this wrong? See, there's a marked difference between financial literacy and digital literacy.
Yeah.
So one may be very comfortable using platforms, using data in terms of investments or creating a portfolio. But what does the output really mean? Because if you're not financially literate, a portfolio given to you may make no sense.
Yeah.
How does it relate to your goal? How does it meet your financial objective? Why this portfolio? Why these percentages? So very often, both of this literacy or this knowledge needs to come hand in hand before one can truly adopt or engage a digital platform for one's investment decisions. And because we are human, there are biases, there are also preferences. So at this current juncture, individuals or investors are more comfortable with smaller ticket items, but the bigger, more complex transactions, they tend to go towards a human being, a professional, when it comes to this decision.
Here's the thing though, Abel, you mentioned digital natives are now looking for all this information because as they become more savvy, obviously there's a lot of information out there. So AI technology would help you to crunch that data, if you will, as opposed to you spend hours and hours reading. So it has somewhat changed wealth management over the last few years, right? But it's scary, like you mentioned. Do you want to leave those big financial decisions to AI?
Okay, so you're absolutely right. See, the thing is, the evolution of AI machine learning has actually impacted many industries, not just the financial industry in itself. Clearly, one of the key stand-up point is that traditional organizations like ourselves, we have set up, we have taken notice, and it has also emphasized the need for us to constantly evolve, to innovate, to stay up to trend, to be able to be relevant to our consumer patterns and behaviors. So it's still in its infancy, AI or machine learning. So a lot of this program, it's a black box. Number two is parameterized. At the same time, it's also algorithm driven. And a lot of these algorithms or these parameters are set by human beings, data scientists, who has a view of the markets. And when they create that black box, it's confounded behind this single black box. So AI at this current juncture isn't capable of thinking out of the box. It is still pretty much instruction-driven, algorithm-driven.
How else has AI technology, though, changed wealth management over the last few years, Abel?
AI, or the word robo-advisory, comes to mind. It took off in a very big way initially. People were saying, this robo-advisor is going to create the perfect portfolio given to anybody as long as you know your financial outcome. But before a robo-advisor allows you or gives you a recommended portfolio, you, the investor, the human being, needs to be the first person to input information before that robo-advisor can then give you an output. So if you don't provide accurate information, provide truthful information, essentially it's going to be a case of whatever you put in is going to be exactly what you're going to get out at the end.
Also, what if you didn't tell your wealth advisor the truth either? So that person, human, would find it hard to advise you.
Absolutely.
Same thing, right?
To that point, we actually have a platform called PAT, Portfolio Advisory Tool. What that does is it is a human and machine connectivity that allows us to assess individuals' risk preferences, risk appetite, outlook of the market, and then we overlay it with our house views. And our PAT was the first in Singapore to incorporate SG Findex, which allows us to have a deeper insights into individuals' portfolio, not just in UOB, but in other organizations as well, allowing us to have a more holistic view or look through an individual's portfolio. You see, Singaporeans are very well banked today. They may have a bank in UOB, they also bank with, say, maybe another foreign bank. Through SG Findex, we are able to pull together individuals' portfolio holdings and have a proper and a thorough look through on what they are really holding. Case in point, global multi-asset solutions has been very, very popular in recent years. But far too often, nobody really knows what goes inside these global multi-asset solutions. If you are exposed to a China fund, for example, in another bank, and you have a multi-asset solution in this bank, and then another greater Asian fund in this bank, when you put the portfolio together, you'll be surprised your total exposure to China is actually a lot higher than what your risk appetite truly affords you or wants you to pay at. So when you have a holistic view, only then can you have very clear look through. So yes, it takes both hands to clap. The investor needs to give us the relevant and the critical information, and through our own system, we crunch those information and produce a more ideal or more optimal outcome.
Still to come, what does that marriage between human wealth advisors and generative AI look like? More in a moment.
This episode of Future of Finance is presented by UOB. And now, back to our podcast.
We're speaking to Abel Lim, Head of Wealth Management Advisory and Strategy at UOB. I hate to be the bearer of bad news or keep harping on the point that artificial intelligence is coming. And there was a survey that said, it might possibly substitute up to 1/4 of current work. And that may potentially impact 300 million. So wealth advisors, do they still feel like they have a place for them in such a world? Abel, what's UOB doing to help them out, upskill them, keep them feeling reassured?
Absolutely. Technological advances has always pushed the boundaries for mankind. And that's why we evolve and we become better, we can become a lot more efficient, we become more productive. For any human being to be relevant or even more impactful in the future, you need to be more human. The areas which AI, machines that are learning technology can never replace. And the human brain, for example, is extremely complex, is extremely dynamic, and this really sets us apart from a non-thinking entity which is called machine. So for the human being, we need to be more human to be more effective in the future.
But Terminator and Skynet could happen, right?
Well, that's actually another human fault. We automatically assume that the machines will eventually evolve and take over us. It's our instinct. And that's only unique to humans. Okay, back to that point, AI or machine learning can actually be a win-win situation for both entities. For investors, for example, it gives them convenience. Again, it's a lot easier for them to engage, to get information. Also for the organization, we have the luxury now to focus more on more personalization, more customization for the higher net worth individuals, or creating better solution for individuals. And at the same time, offloading, quote unquote, some of the less desirable actions like repetitive actions or answering questions. So we are able to move some of these functions to AI platform, whereas we can focus and zoom in on more high value added facilities, tools and solutions for our investors in the long run. So whether wealth managers has a role, the answer is yes, because wealth managers actually provide that joining the dots function whereby with the incorporation of AI and technology, wealth advisors can then leverage off this number crunching or this data crunching and be able to answer questions or advise customers a lot more appropriately on the fact that you have a database solution and outcome and explain what this outcome is to this individual. And this is a function being human, being able to engage emotions, being creative, being able to deliver critical thinking to the end investors. UOB's omnichannel has the best of both worlds. We have the human interface and we also have the machine interface that allows us to collaborate quite closely, put this together and be able to engage customers through our PAT platform.
Abel, do you see the receptiveness or not coming from your staff at UOB, having incorporated all of these digital tools?
To that point, I must admit, like all human beings, humans are always resistant to change. And when the first interface of artificial intelligence, machine learning was first introduced to the platform, there were questions. People were asking, what's wrong with my traditional way of engaging customers? Why do I need AI? And over time, our bankers slowly realized the benefit of having a machine who is capable of doing tremendous amount of tasks and work in a very short period of time, crunching numbers, identifying data, understanding data, and then be able to give you a succinct and accurate output of the current situation. And that gives our bankers the confidence that, hang on, there is a lot of levers I can use when I engage an AI platform. And through this, they can draw the data. They have to do a lot less research because that hard work, the heavy lifting, is already done by artificial intelligence. So instead, they can focus on the relationship part of the business. They can focus on the advisory part of the business. They can focus a lot more on taking care of customers' long-term financial goals through the inception of artificial intelligence. So we have seen that adoption rate across all our bankers and specialists creeping up tremendously in the last couple of years when this was introduced. And we've also won accolades from clients because, well, one of the functions of our portfolio advisory tool is to be able to test one's portfolio given a past black swan event. How would your current portfolio perform given the financial crisis? What will happen during the oil crisis? What happens during a period of conflicts? And this gives customers that confidence that artificial intelligence does has a huge part in terms of identifying and portraying individuals' portfolio across different spectrums and what outcome could potentially be expected. And the sales advisor, the relationship manager, will then come in to provide that view to the end customer. So the handshake here is just incredible.
But you don't foresee, or do you foresee AI maybe ever being able to emulate that empathy, the true care, the commitment, the passion that we humans have as an advantage over technology at this point?
I personally think at this current juncture, at the current state of AI, I don't think it's possible to displace the human beings. The truth is that the human brain, the human function is an incredibly complex setup. There's a lot more to human beings. We are capable of critical thinking. We are capable of creativity. We are capable of problem solving. We are capable of thinking out of the box. And a lot of these things, AI, being parameterized, being algorithm driven, cannot currently attain. A simple example, the black box tells a machine, the AI, to just go straight. And when it meets an obstacle, it doesn't know what to do. Because in the algorithm, there's no if you hit a wall, you do this, or that. A human being, when they meet a wall, they'll think, how do I get across this wall? Hang on, maybe there's a door. Maybe I could climb over it. Maybe I could go around it. But when it's parameterized, if it's algorithm driven, you can't do that. So humans has this very unique function of being able to go around things, to be able to find solutions around things. That really makes us unique because we are capable of creative and out-of-the-box thinking. And that really emphasizes or underlines the point which I made earlier. For us to be relevant in the future, humans need to be more human.
Guess I can only say, if Skynet happens, Abel, I'm still taking the blue pill. Thank you so much for joining us today and your insights, Abel. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's mine.
I'm Howie Lim. We look forward to sharing more in the next episode as you navigate the future of finance.
This episode of Future of Finance was presented by UOB. Find more BT podcasts at businesstimes.com.sg/podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is meant to provide general information only. SPH Media accepts no liability for loss arising from any reliance on the podcast or use of third parties' products and services. Please consult professional advisors for independent advice.